It is Saturday night once again. This is the Overnight Mouse Party. I'm DM Foss, and we have gun websites. How's it going, G-Webs?
Fair to Midland. Thanks for hosting.
And Gizzard Gary. How you doing?
Hey, pretty good. Thanks for having me.
And linked at the top of the chat is this week's poll. If you haven't voted, head over there. Give it a vote. We'll take a look at it here in just a little bit. And so you saw that California is everybody saying is banning Glock, which I forget what the number on the bill is. I think it's Assembly Bill something, but it is banning semi-autos with what they're calling the cruciform trigger bar, which that's the Glock trigger bar, but all the Glock clones have that same trigger bar, so it would ban all those because that allows that shape of the trigger bar allows the Glock switches to work. So California wants to ban the Glock because people are taking illegal items, adding them to a legal product, and making them more dangerous. And there was a bunch of stuff that I thought of in between naps today, and of course I have forgotten all of them. What I wanted to talk about tonight.
Topics.
Yeah, there was something from your chat.
Tony?
Yeah. And it has slipped my mind. I know when I was kind of coming out to get ready for tonight's chat, I was trying to remember if you had said it or if Tony had said it, which ultimately didn't really matter. And now I not only have forgotten who said it, but I forgot what was said.
Something with the law or just something like about guns?
I don't have a clue what it was now. And I even thought I need to go write this down on my board, and I forgot to come out and write it on the board.
We also talked about movies. It's been 2 weeks or something since we had a show, so we ended up talking about a lot of stuff. It was like
it was like 3.5 hour chat.
Yeah.
Let me get over right. It's G23 saying the California bill is AB 1127. Woods brings up the High Point AR. I don't really have any opinions because they basically bought an AR company. And
did they buy a company?
That's what I thought I heard somebody say they had bought a company to do the AR.
Yeah, I heard that.
Okay.
They weren't designing them themselves, so yeah, that's.
Well, I figured that, but I didn't know that they bought something. Because you can just go up to a company and have them make you ARs. I just thought it was something like that.
I heard it was that company that was going out of business or something like that. They ended up buying
Delton.
Mayben.
I think that's the one that went out of business recently.
I didn't hear who it was.
But still, that's a big difference between, taking on the responsibility and buying the tooling or whatever you do, and then hiring people to deal with it, and then taking responsibility for like production of a gun. That's a whole different level of whatever the word is, that's involvement that normally companies don't do. They just go to a company who makes lowers and say, make it with our name on it and give us this media of them to start. Because assembling a gun is no problem when you're a company, but taking over and running a company, like even if you hired all of their employees, does that mean you're going to make the same product? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Probably, but not necessarily.
Yeah, so it means no Zamek ARs.
Correct.
And I think it was with the California banning the Glock, and either you or Tony had said that that might be a step too far, because there's a lot of people that own Glocks, and so the ban kind of hits home, whereas a lot of the other ones don't. I mean,
Tony
you guys didn't.
He was saying that it's glad that they tried to attack all Glocks, because now they'll hit so many Glock owners that they'll bother people where they might not have if they were polite about it.
Do you think it'll make a difference if they ban them, or is it just they're going to push ahead no matter what, and
like, is it over reaching? Did they bite off more than they can chew? I'd like to think so in California, but no, I don't think so. Like, they're used to being abused or whatever that is. Like, they got a victim, they have like a victim quotient that's hard to. I mean, was it 2-3 years ago they released the names of all the CCW people and they're down to their social security numbers. And what did California do? Like, they went, dang it, don't do that, please. I mean, they didn't get mad, and I don't know what else. If you're going to take everyone's personal information and give it to the world in a time, in an era when that can be detrimental, that's not just a nothing event. If that doesn't trigger people or start people to like resist in California, the tyranny, then I mean, what would? I mean, I don't know. I don't want to see people get abused in California, but I also don't want to see them get abused to attempt to get them to get off their ass. I'd rather get them off their ass like California gun owners is trying to do, not like, better get off your ass or else, but like, get off your ass because it's to our advantage,
I don't know. I don't know if because a lot of gun owners are waiting on the Supreme Court, and it seems in the pro-gun side, it tends to be everybody gets up in arm about something, and then if it gets settled positively, everybody sits down and doesn't think about it until something else comes up. So, are people gonna get up in arms over this, or are they gonna sit and wait for somebody to come along and fix it for them?
They're definitely going to sit and wait. Name any example of the gun community getting upset, and then because of that, our organizations or anybody else did something about it. Like, that's never happened, has it? I don't think I'm ignoring anything important. But I'm saying you typically get told, like, this is what we should be outraged about. This is what we should be fighting about. And then we'll go, okay, like, we'll agree, we'll effort. But I can't think of anything where we're like, we're going to go do it, and if you join us, great. And then the organizations came along and helped us. Maybe I'm missing something.
Basically, it's always, we're going to file a lawsuit.
Yeah, seriously. And that's always like in reaction to something. I mean, except for, well, even Heller and everything like that, it technically has to be in reaction to us. You have to be hurt or affected, and then you can sue about it, right? So all lawsuits require them to be on the offense and us to be on the defense. So, man, I must be missing an example of us deciding we're going to do something beside, outside of getting attacked for it first. national reciprocity, maybe. Like, it's not like they took away CCW from anybody. That's something that we asked for in addition, like, or as an alternative to what we've been offered. But I can't think. And then it's not like there's a big campaign about national reciprocity. When it happened in 2018, almost nobody even knew about it. And when it got turned off because of stupid fake Vegas, nobody gave a shit. Nobody got upset about it. It just was like, oh, darn, for the people that were paying attention. So it's not like we've ever had a big movement.
I'm not. Yeah, I haven't seen a lot. A couple channels. I think Four Boxes Diner, maybe Washington Gun Law. Talked about it once or twice, and haven't seen a lot.
California thing.
No, the reciprocity.
Oh, back
national
in the day.
Reciprocity.
Four Boxes Diner didn't exist back then. I don't think.
No. The push that's going on now for it.
Oh, okay.
And outside of that, the only other thing is I'm seeing an advertising for those stupid concealed carry badges, which I can't conceive of why you would ever want to own one of those. And hopefully Barbecue gets back in. He was here for a second. And
I feel like Barbecue joined and then found out we were talking about guns and then was like, oh, I don't want to talk about guns. And then he left.
Oh, guns again. Is that all you guys talk about? M. Gabriel said, doesn't that just ban future sales? Yes, I believe so. Just the Glock ban.
Well, criminals wouldn't alter an existing gun. They're only going to do it to new guns that get purchased in the future. So it makes sense.
And the Saint, does Glock have any models left to ban? I can understand why they're getting rid of some of the models. That kind of oddball nobody's buying anyways. Part of me kind of hates to see it because I don't like to see it disappear. But, financially, it just doesn't make sense to keep them around, to keep making them.
I think they were trying to keep up with what they thought customers wanted, but then they ended up after a few years with, I can't even imagine, just a mess of like weird models that they had to make. It makes sense to get rid of them.
And I know some of the stuff that they're discontinuing, they're not really discontinuing it. They're just, the model is changing to the ones that weren't cut for a red dot. Now they're going to make it cut for a red dot. So they're technically discontinuing the non-red dot one. So I know that happened with some of the models, but I'm not sure which ones those were. Yep, he was back for a second. And Garage Guy said Glock has been around for decades. They aren't going anywhere.
No, I don't think so. And it seems like Mrs. Glock is super happy about like taking the company and going with it. So I don't think she's got any plans on like, selling it to CZ and booking out of there.
M. Gabriel said 86 Firearms Protection Act is from NRA, isn't it?
No. Well, I mean, they might try to take credit for it, and I'm sure they were there, but that was, I don't know, that was more of a theoretical concern from political / lawyer types. But, well, I shouldn't say I can remember. Gizzard was probably paying more attention in 86 than anybody. And I don't remember any kind of national campaign for FIOPA.
How's it going?
It's going all right. How you doing?
Doing all right.
And somebody, Woods had said the High Point AR is going to be aluminum. I figured it would be aluminum because there's no reason to not make it out of aluminum.
Well, they either buy it from somebody and they're making it out of aluminum, right? Or
It said they were out of aluminum. At first, they're just doing the assembly from parts made by other companies. Eventually, they're going to make everything in-house, but right now they're outsourcing all the parts and just doing the assembly.
Well, it makes sense to make it out of aluminum. I mean, why not make a rifle that weighs the same as your handgun?
It would be cool if they could figure out how to make their ARs have that same dynamic sound that the guns have.
Oh, yeah.
And use 8-round proprietary magazines.
It is unique. It is High Points have a unique sound.
Have a polymer lower and a Zamic upper. Every time you set them down, they fall over.
Vulcan Rumble said ammo manufacturers are getting rid of calibers.
I'm sure they'd like to sometimes. So do you think the High Point, the High Point AR is going to be like a novelty thing? Or do you think it's going to be another like budget line, like, I don't know, the other budget ARs out there?
I think it'll be kind of a bog standard budget.
I don't care what it is. I'm definitely getting one. Could be the biggest piece of dog crap ever. I've got to have one.
Oh, I have never bought I have built all my ARs. First ones I did was just because I didn't have a lot of money to spend on an AR, so I built it myself. Luckily, it worked out, hasn't blown up, and then enjoyed the process so much that I just kept building them myself.
There's only one that I bought outright, and that was a Delton AR pistol. Just because that's when the government was talking about, doing all the pistol banning and all that, and I was like, this could be worth something sometime.
Well, they're out of business now, so
they are.
It's a collector's item. Vulcan Rumble said SIG will not make 357 SIG or 40 Smith & Wesson. That's a shame. I like SIG ammo. The V Crown and the whatever the other ones are called, like the V Crowns. Blanking on right now for some reason.
So hold up, they're not going to make their own proprietary round that they came up with? Because if that's the case, that sounds like the death nail in the coffin for 357 SIG.
It's not like they championed it and had a bunch. Like, it's not like every gun line they ever made they had a 357 SIG. Like they barely touched it anyway, so they never loved that caliber.
But either way, you've got guns that are chambered in it, and from what I understand, ammunition manufacturers are kind of cutting back on producing it anyways. And then the company that came up with it is like, yeah, we're not going to load for it either. Like, that sounds like it pretty much kills the caliber at that point.
Yeah. I'm just saying the caliber wasn't like, it was on life support. It wasn't like a healthy, thriving caliber and they cut it off at the knees or anything.
It's all a 9mm conspiracy.
It is.
Well, it's a desperate attempt to not use 9mm. So that's applaudable or whatever. Like
it's basically ammo communism. They're trying to make all ammo 9mm. So
it's easier for the state to make all our ammunition that way.
They should just chamber everything in 1 centimeter.
I'd be fine with that.
Yep.
Well, we'll say semi-autos.
Yes.
In 1
Yes.
Vulcan Rumble said they were paying Serbia to make NATO 124 grain FMJ ammo. But let's look at this week's poll. Let me share there. There it is. This week's poll was, do you have a tattoo? Let me refresh it. Make sure we got all the comments here. Is everybody noticed? All right. Yes, they're badass, or no, I don't want a permanent mistake. 59% said no, I don't want a permanent mistake. 41% said yes, they are badass. And the goddamn bacon said, don't need a tattoo, I already have the scars. And also a permanent mistake. Fuku YT Mark 6 said, real men have a lion inside, others have to have a lion painted on the outside. Patriot in the Dark said yes, and sticking with my maxim, they're all black, because everyone knows that good guys wear black. Actually, my first has an old school military faded black greenish hue fitting for an old Marine. X Adam 1, I already have a permanent mistake, a marriage license. Tim Allen, I have several and have been thinking hard about getting another one. DJ Play Nice said only 4. 22 Guru, never could think of anything I really wanted on my body permanently. I'm glad as a teenager I didn't get a picture of a pot leaf. Arkansas Festus said, fuck no. G23, I got my first tattoo at 13 years old. Woods said Mariners tattoo as well.
Now, does that qualify as a permanent mistake? Sorry.
Well, I have a book, and I can't remember the title of the book, but it's about the Mariners, the history of the Mariners. And as a Mariners fan, it was infuriating to read. Just the way they have mismanaged and poorly run the team.
As opposed to their first team, the Pilots.
Well, they ran out of money. I mean, they had a team for a year, ran out of money. And then they left. The 6th stadium where they played wasn't really a big league stadium. And now it's, I think it's a Lowe's hardware store.
From what I understood, the real story behind that was that they really weren't planning on going into the league for another year or two, but they rushed that ahead of time because Kansas City lost the Athletics, and Major League Baseball promised them an expansion franchise, but they didn't want to bring them into the league by themselves, so they rushed the Pilots into coming on earlier than they had planned.
Yeah, I have. Searching the internet years ago, I have a little bit of old footage of the pilots playing. I have a 45 of the pilot's theme. And Lou Piniella was one of their draft picks. Basically, they drafted him right before they sold the team, and the coach thought he was too arrogant, so they traded him. Woodstead Six Stadium is Lowe's, and he was there recently. There's supposed to be a plaque in the store to commemorate the pilots. Oh, and I do have some. I think I have 2 autographs and some playing cards for the pilots. Can't remember now. I can't even think of their names. Like Bobby Boughton, and can't think of who the other player was that I have. Oh, he said the sign is outside. Vulcan Rumble said, I went to SIG Experience. They confirmed it there in USA is spear bullets. I don't know, Gary, do you have a tattoo?
No.
No. Virgin skin.
That's correct.
Did you ever think about getting one?
Nope.
Really?
Nope. I have an aversion to pain in the first place. Secondly, no, I just never did think. I don't know what I'd tattoo on myself, to be honest. If I put the names of all my exes on there, I'd take up a whole arm. So,
how about you, G Webs? Do you have a tattoo?
Potentially. I don't have a problem with them.
Yeah.
A lot of
Barbecue?
times people get them when you're in like a team or on some kind of a a unit or in some kind of a club or something like that. So they happen.
Just one. Like I always have ideas like, oh, that'd be kind of cool, but then I'm like, there's better things I can spend my money on.
That's a good
Tattoos
point.
are expensive.
They can be expensive, but you can also get them real cheap. Just an FYI. If you go someplace where, like a
prison,
no, but like a military thing is what I'm thinking of, or like a construction thing, situation where people get paid. So the tattoo place is going to get real busy right after payday, but right before payday, they're sitting around being bored, and you might be able to get a good deal on a really big tattoo. Just saying. And there's always I'm just learning. And if you're willing to take a little more pain and a shittier tattoo, then you can get really cheap tattoos from people that are learning.
Mm-hmm.
And alternatively, I already have 2 tattoo guns. So you can get like cordless tattoo guns off of Amazon for like less than $100. And you get everything from the ink to the rubber gloves. You just charge it and you're ready to go making tattoos.
or you can just go to Sticker Mule and they'll make you a set of tattoos. And
temporary tattoos, probably a good way to go. And you can
they last about a week. You can see if you really like them or not.
Most of the time, you only need a tattoo for like a thing, right? So temporary could really do it. Especially, I'm assuming you design it, right? Like it's going to be what you design, not just like.
Yeah, I bought some of my channel logo just to like maybe wear to goals and stuff like that, just to try it out.
That's going to be pretty brave. You're going to put your channel tattoo like on your cheek.
No.
What's a Lizard Larry tat?
Get little tiny logos and put them on like teardrops for every video.
Shave your head.
I'm gonna say, if companies would pay me enough to wear their logo at an event, that'd be temporary. A thing, you know. Yeah.
Temporary face tattoos, $1,000 an event.
I'd do that. I'd do that.
That's
an original idea.
Mm-hmm. And that would definitely turn heads.
Uh-huh.
I'll have to talk to Savivi. See what they say.
Gary's going to be walking through a bench. People will be like, "Oh my God, is that Jelly Roll?" And they'll be like, "No way, it's Gizzard Gary."
Is that Ass Face Ammo? Oh, you're working with Ass Face Ammo.
I have a tattoo. It says "Welcome to Jamaica. Have a nice day."
Nice.
I don't know if anybody would get that one, but I've got it's a head of a dragon. I got when I was 18, and I can never remember which shoulder it is because I can't see it. I think this one.
I got a friend that recently got a tattoo the style of the Polynesian Islands. Is that what it was? Where they would take like a bamboo thing and smack on it.
Oh yeah.
So he got that one just to have it in that, or have it done in that way. But that was kind of neat.
Saw my cousin. When she got hers done on her hands, the traditional way with the tapping.
Yikes, that's gotta hurt.
That was when we went to. She was having it done while we were in Samoa. So she said,
Now,
"Come over."
we would tattoo what calibers we appreciated. So, like, if you're getting a 45, you get that on your arm, or if you're getting like 380 or something, you typically get that on your ankle. Or, of course, 9mm. People usually get that as a tramp stamp right above their butt.
I know people have gotten it on their taint.
Taint no way.
Tain't necessarily so.
Vulcan Rumble said, G-Webs, when I went in SIG, I see that cheap P320C and 45 ACP, and I think of you, G-Webs.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to have more, but after I met my wife, she said no. She's Japanese, and Japanese don't. There is underground tattooing. You know, bad guys get them, but also not. You know, just some of the more rebellious youth have them, but it's shunned. So if they show, there's lots of public places that won't let you come in. So I never got any more. I do have. I did one time when I was bored, brand myself on both my legs. Bent up some coat hanger, heated them up on the stove, and
Did the scar stay there?
No, I didn't. I didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't burn them in deep enough. So they've pretty much healed over. You can just barely see them.
If you're hardcore, you 3D print something, and then you cut a slit in your skin, and you jam that in there, and then it'll stay there as like a, like a lump until your body like rejects the plastic and starts to create pus all around it, and then that happens, and it gets expelled from your skin. But it looks really good until that happens.
I don't know.
But you can get tattoos removed by lasers now, so really,
you
there's
can.
no excuse to not have whatever tattoos you want.
And I don't know, it's kind of different because they're not rebellious anymore. Everybody has them. Grandmas have them.
Not at all. And
What's
they go through stupid fads. So, like, I remember a friend that, because most of tattoos that I'm familiar with were friends in the military type of thing. So you do whatever, and, it can be a million different reasons, but, let's say you go do something, you got some kind of shared experience, so 5 of you get tattoos or something. And then for us, it was then the 90s happened, and I don't know if y'all remember, like the mid 90s, like tattoos got weird, and yeah, then it became like every kid that went to college got tattoos, and it was not there was a time there when people were like, oh yeah, I don't have tattoos, don't worry about what I got, because tattoos were kind of like a college thing more than anything else. I don't know if that's when it changed or not, but now I don't think, well, tattoos are anybody, but back in the day only certain people got tattoos. It was a lot more like Japan, I think, at least
Well,
when we
now
were, I mean, I don't know if you guys are old enough, but when I was a kid, like there was no like college kids getting tattoos or like normal people getting tattoos, like criminals, bikers, military.
Military.
there's junior high
It's like,
kids that get tattoos now.
yeah, exactly. And it's just because it's cool, right? Like because their friends have it type of shit.
Well,
Not
the
like
thing is, like,
because
parents
kids
are
had it back in the day.
allowing it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Back in the day, it would have been like 13-year-olds doing it, getting tattoos on their hands because they're in a gang or whatever, and then their parents would have clobbered them. And like you're saying, now they're like, "Oh, look, you're expressing yourself."
they're like, oh, yeah, I'll sign that slip for you, and we're going to go in, we're going to make a experience of this, which, I mean, fine, whatever. But at the same time, I'm like, they're 13. Do they really want to get, Teletubbies tattooed on them? I don't know.
Or like you're 13, you're gonna get an ass face tattoo, an ass face ammo tattoo on your face. Like, come on, it's only $1,000.
How bored were you? How bored you gotta be to brand yourself? Was there no drugs or booze? No drugs. I might have been drinking. I don't recall. I was bored. Just wherever you're gonna do, give it a good slap, and that'll kind of numb it a little bit, and then have at it.
Well, I've done that plenty of times, but it wasn't intentionally necessarily. Mufflers and like soldering irons and shit that get stepped on or moved.
I can still remember 25 years ago, we had this young couple. Basically, had just gotten married, and they bought the house next to ours. And they were out in the yard one day, and the husband was out there in a pair of shorts and just flip flops, and I saw a tattoo on his ankle. And then he got closer, and I realized it was. You remember the old cartoon series Family Circus?
Yeah,
The boy, was his name Billy or
I don't remember.
Billy or Jeffy, one or the other. Anyway, it was that face that was tattooed on his ankle. It's like, of all things to get tattooed on your ankle, why would you get that tattooed?
I have never found Family Circus funny.
Are we doing a tattoo bracket tonight?
It's not supposed to be funny, is it? I thought it was like witty or something, or like for grandmas.
I will say I've never found it humorous.
No, I get you. It's not one that you're like, oh, I can't wait to see what Family Circus is doing today.
I liked Wizard of Id. And
this was newspapers. Newspapers.
Yeah.
It was Peanuts and the cat. Was it Heathcliff?
Heathcliff.
Heathcliff.
I did like Peanuts and Calvin and Hobbes. Farside.
Calvin and Hobbes wasn't in every one. Farside was definitely not in every one. That would have been awesome. Farside was good.
It's all I can think of.
Most of the ones in the newspaper, you had to read so much that there was a lot of reading.
Wood said Hagar the Horrible. I did like Hagar.
And they were serials, right? Like a lot of the ones in the newspapers, they liked
Prince Valiant,
bigger story or whatever. That's been a long time though since there's been comics in newspapers. And a lot of times you'd only, at least for me, I would only see them on Sundays because we didn't get a newspaper every day.
That's the only time I ever remember seeing it was on Sundays.
There'd be comics in regular newspapers, but unless you got them. Like, how are you going to see them? And there'd only be like
Oh.
barely.
They were generally black and white, and usually in the sports section on weekdays. And then, yeah, Sundays they'd have a full color, full section for
Yeah.
kids.
And it'd be like a page, and on Sunday there'd be like 3 pages. Or
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'll bet you nowadays people don't even think about shit like that. Like, there's how long is the newspapers? I mean, shit, I don't even think newspapers have been around for 10 years now. So I bet you there's a whole generation of people that never even fucking don't even get the concept of a newspaper showing up. Kind of like
Well,
the phones on the walls. Like, little kids don't even know the phones were on a cord on a wall. You know what I mean? They don't even watch movies from those days.
around here, there's having problems just getting people to deliver them anymore.
Yeah, I imagine. I delivered papers for a while, and it was never like a lucrative thing. Like, you could barely pay for your vehicle type of shit. It was a shitty job. And Gabriel is saying the Far Side guy has a podcast. I thought he was dead.
No,
or my Calvin and Hobbes guy. Calvin and Hobbes guy is dead.
Yeah, he went to Washington State University.
Which one, Calvin and Hobbes or Far Side?
No, Far Side.
That's Larson.
Yeah. He got in some trouble on X or Twitter a year or two ago. Said some things that angered some people. I remember that he was in the news.
He just said normal shit, or he actually said extreme shit. Like, he said normal
shit
that bothered people, or he said extreme shit and really bothered people.
I really can't remember.
I mean, I don't see that guy being extreme, but I guess I don't know if I'd know him from 6 other people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who the guy is, but I could also see that guy just saying something kind of normal and everybody freaking out about it.
Well, he's old enough. It might have been just something that, would have been acceptable in the 70s.
Yeah.
Now he says it now and everybody gets upset. I did have a question for the panel and for the chat. That's right back there. That's my AR-10. And I put a poll up in the community tab that trying to figure out which scope to put on it. I've got here, I guess I'll make myself bigger. I've got a Monstrum LPVO. This one is 1:6 by 24. And I have this Burris, which is 2:10 by 42. And I'm not sure which one to put on that rifle.
Well, I'd put the stronger one, but I usually pay more attention to the reticle than the rest of the stuff.
What's your barrel length?
I think that's a 20. I think that's what that one is. I know the Burst is a really nice one. I won it from one of Hillbilly's giveaways. And it almost seems too nice to put on the AR-10. But I don't know. I'm not really a scope guy, so this is like a $650 scope, and I don't know. So I am soliciting opinions.
So you have a Monstrum and a Burris?
Yep.
So, well, I mean, I guess it partly depends on what the heck your plan is with this thing. I mean, with it having a 20-inch barrel, obviously if you want to stretch it out, you could. So having something with a little bit more power would be nice. And if you're not planning on twisting dials or anything, it probably doesn't matter either way. But a few years ago, I was calling around to a bunch of scope manufacturers because I've got that Thompson Center Performance Center LRR that I was looking for a new scope for. I need something with a heavier reticle so I can try and see the reticle. And called a bunch of places. Monstrum didn't want to bother talking to me like several other companies. Burris did, though. And after they couldn't answer my question, they actually put me in touch with a gentleman that worked there, like just transferred me to his line that could actually answer my questions, which was pretty awesome. And I was talking to him, explained my whole situation to him and everything. And he thought they would be able to make me one of their scopes with a heavier reticle. And he's like, crap, actually, we won't. And he actually pointed me to a couple different manufacturers. So I've got a bit of a soft spot for Burris at this point.
And like the reticles are, can't really show you. I like both of them. They're simple, which is I prefer the simple. I don't want all the extra stuff in there because I don't need it because I don't know how to use it. The Burris has the parallax knob, which I don't have a clue how to use. But I don't know. And because, like I said, it just seems like too good a scope for the AR-10, but I'm never going to have a rifle that I would think is good enough for that scope anyways. I don't know.
Honestly. Well, so...
And I'm not going to shoot over 200 yards because that's the range I go to. That's their maximum.
And you said that the Burris is a 2-10 by 44?
42.
Oh, 42. Either way. No, I think that'd be a fine scope for that, personally. An LPVO, honestly, I think that'd probably be more of a fun scope for, like just a plain Jane AR build.
I've got another one on my a Monstrum on my 450 Bushmaster, and it took me a little while to get used to the LPVOs. I didn't like them at first, but I've kind of gotten used to it, and it does a good job with it. I'm not sure if my 450 is tearing it apart. Last time I went to the range, I couldn't hit shit with it, but that very well could have just been me having a bad day.
Well, and I mean, it is a scope, so you could be running into the issue. Maybe it got bumped or something. You might just need to re-sight it in. It could be something like that. I've never been a huge fan of the Monstrums. Now, from what I understand, the newer ones are pretty nice, but I don't know. I guess my thing is like also because what's the power on the LPVO?
1 to 6 by 24.
Yeah, I would put that on. I mean, if it were me, I would put it on an AR build where you want to do like a quote unquote battle rifle type deal.
I was thinking about building a 300 blackout upper because while digging around the garage, I found 16-inch 300 blackout barrel, which I apparently forgot that I had. So I was thinking about building an upper on this since I can't buy any lowers in Washington now. Doing the upper and maybe putting it on like maybe pulling the 350 Legend upper off and putting the 300 blackout on it.
What if somebody were to like bring you a lower that's under on the prairie, or you just want it there?
Yeah, well, that would still would be problematic.
What if I just mailed you a paperweight that looked like one?
But that's the nice thing about ARs is the modularity. You can just pull the
Yep.
upper off one and put a different upper on it. Which originally that's what I had wanted to do because I was only going to have 3 guns, a rifle and 2 pistols, and then I thought, well, I can do another upper so I can swap it out and be able to have a couple calibers. So I built an upper. It's like, well, shit, I've got an upper. Might as well buy a lower.
Yeah.
And then I ended up with an extra buttstock. And it's like, well, shit, I've got a buttstock. Might as well build a rifle for it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've got a 300 blackout barrel. It's just, sitting here idle.
It's true.
So maybe I will do that. Put the burris on that. And then at some point do an upper for the 300 blackout. And then put the Monstrum on that.
That sounds like great life decisions. I like all of that.
But like I said, there is a poll on the community tab, so anybody can go over there and leave their opinion. Like I said, I'm not really a scope or precision rifle guy, so I don't know scopes. I'm really bad at sighting them in.
Oh, we'll get you dialed into that in no time. Don't you worry.
It's usually what I've been doing with the red dots and the scopes and stuff. That's kind of how it's set up now. And then I'll put a target over on that's the garage door over there. So I can basically get it plumb. And then close to the windage, and then go out to the range and dial it in.
So, how are you bore sighting it?
I've got laser bore sight, which this one.
Okay. Now, one of the things you might be running into is the distance between where you're setting up the rifle and where you're setting up the target is super close.
Yes, I
I
tried to kind of account for that by dropping. Now I can't remember. Rather than being on the cross, I just draw a crosshair as a reference, and instead of being straight on the crosshair, I think low. I would put it like a couple inch or two low, knowing that I'll still have to dial it in. And then once I get it, the big thing was to get it plumb. So, because that'll stay the same.
So bore sighting ARs is super easy. You don't, and say you don't have a bore sight or anything, you don't need any of that. When you go to the range, just take the upper off of the lower, set the upper on sandbags, then look straight down the bore to the target. Acquire the target looking down the bore. Then you just go back up to your sight, making sure not to bump it or anything, and then just make your adjustments, check the bore again, check your sight, and doing it that way, I mean, you'll be really, really close.
I have tried that in the past and kind of struggled with it, and I might just be I've got wonky eyes, and so I don't know.
Actually, when I went to go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, kind of the setup that I've been using has been able to get me close enough to where when I go out to the range, I'm on the paper and I can see where I'm hitting, and I'll take it and then move it back into the other room. It's still, I'm still really close, relatively speaking, to the target.
You can calibrate demonstrate that. So once you get sighted in with a rifle, go back to your garage, put the bore sighter in there, aim your rifle at the center of the target and see where the bore sighter hits, and then put an X there, and then you know where
That's a good idea. I had not thought
Yep.
of that.
I was just going to
Wow.
say
have an approximate place to zero in this time.
one of the goofy things I was taught when I was in gunsmith school. So they really liked not using bore sighters for some reason. And if you're going to use the method of just looking down the bore for like a lever action, their suggestion was place a small mirror inside the area for the slide and look at the reflection down the bore. That is such a pain in the arse. I was like, you've got to be kidding. Like, no, I will get a bore sighter for doing anything where I cannot remove the bolt.
What I like to do is polish the bolt face till a mirror finish, and then I line it up on the bolt face. I don't even need a mirror.
Yep, that's one of the things they said. Like, you got to polish this. Make sure you use a Dremel to do the polishing. I was like, okay, great.
One suggestion I have is if you use a bore sighter, make sure you spin the bore sighter in your barrel to see it. Make sure there's no wobble, because not all of them are dead center.
They can't be.
Honestly,
and stuff.
The best bore sighter I've had now is one. It's from Sightmark, and all it is a magnet that goes right to the crown of your barrel, and you can eyeball it for the most part for making sure it's centered. And that thing is so much better than anything that you have to stick down your bore. And oh my god, I hate ones like that. And then, and it's not one of the ones where you gotta, stick it in your chamber and have the laser come out of the muzzle or anything. It's just, like I said, magnet right on the end, and it does amazing.
And I've tried taking this to the range, and you cannot see it in daylight. I mean,
yeah. I'm guessing it's
going down to the target, you cannot see where the dot is.
Have you tried shooting into a box so that you have the shadow of the box? Shoot against the bottom of a box, let's say.
No.
I've only noticed that when I went to range day one time, and they were trying to show us. I forget what the brand was anymore, but anyway, they had us shooting into like basically a giant box, like a refrigerator box, and I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting way to get some shadows." Because this was in Florida, it was like super sunny.
Yeah, some of the stuff I can't do at the range because of the safety rules.
Yeah,
like going down while it's on the rest. When the range is cold, I can only do that if I'm alone, because that's breaking the rules.
Oh, you had an indoor range.
Putting a laser on there and then walking down range to see where the laser is. Yeah, I would not do that either.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
you could walk in front of that laser and cut yourself in half.
They're dangerous. You could put an eye out.
Mm-hmm.
Just happened to both mine.
Go to point at something and cut your fingers off. It happens all the time with lasers.
Like, did you see what happened to Darth Vader?
Exactly. That's basically.
Let's say what it is. Lightsabers. They're just fancy lasers.
They're just laser swords.
Guns and Water said the columnator type, like Bushnell makes, is a great bore sighter. Gives you a grid in the scope. I'm not familiar with that one.
Which one?
Columnator.
Oh, is that the one that has a big plastic housing and like, if it's what I'm thinking, I really don't like those ones either, because the scope needs to be on the same plane as the bore sight then. And if you've got, depending on the mounts you're using or the rings, etc., that can change that, and you're not going to get that grid in the scope properly. my dad years ago spent more money than I even care to think about at this point on a bore sight like that. And I mean, to this day, like he still has it, and I cannot bore sight a rifle with it to save my life. And then that $20 sight mark that I found one day, not like it was just laying on the ground and it's like, check this out, but was at the Dunham's, I think it was, and I was like, well, that looks kind of cool, and so bought it, because it was like $20, and I was like, this works amazing. And say, there's one that Tasco used to make. I don't know if they still make it or not. Same premise as that one in the giant plastic housing and whatnot, but it just has these little plastic. We could call it a dowel, and it inserts into your barrel, and it has thing that goes on the end of that. That goes up and it has a small grid on it, and that worked out pretty well too. And the nice thing about the ones with the grids, like in your case, Boss, is you don't have to worry about your distance because that grid is already pretty well set for what you're doing.
I think it might be. This doesn't say column. This is a magnetic one, but I think it's similar to this, which I had not seen. So you've got a piece that goes in the bore, and then it actually sticks up a little bit so your scope can look through it. That's interesting. This one's a magnetic version.
Oh, okay. But that's the one thing, like the one that I'm talking about. It had these metal rods with a small piece of copper that was bent to act as like a tensioner. You'd have to insert that into the barrel, and then you would attach this big plastic housing onto that. And the worst part was, like, it would be top heavy now. They were just a nightmare. Hate using that thing. And then just the idea of shoving another piece of metal inside your barrel like that. And they don't rust or anything. So, I mean, they're stainless steel rods.
And Vulcan Rumble, thank you for reminding me. He said Banner. And when I saw Banner, I was still thinking scopes, and I thought, yeah, I have
Bushnell
a Banner,
yeah.
on one of my. I've got two Bushnells. One's a Banner, one's a Trophy XLT.
Oh, bougie.
And I forget which is on which. One's on my 30-06 bolt action. The other is on probably the Grendel. I don't remember which is on which. Yeah, Guns and Water said that's what we were showing was similar to his. But anybody that has a comment and suggestion on the scopes for the AR-10 back there, leave them in the community tab. Vote in the poll. Leave a comment. Any other 2A news that we didn't talk about?
I think there was a bunch of people were mentioning stuff earlier.
I gotta go back up. Logan Rumble asks, "What's the best battery for a flashlight?"
Well, CR123s are really good because they're 3 volts instead of 1.5 right away, so you get the most bang for your buck. Really bright, flashlights that are capable, but they cost the most, and you can't. They're not as adaptable to rechargeables because the rechargeables are 3.7 volts, so they're not 1-to-1, and those tend to be a little bit thicker. So I'm going to have to say AAA battery is probably the most universally and gives you a small light. Some of them can take 3 of them and make it a decent sized light. So I'm going to say AAA.
I don't know.
It's not D. It's not C.
I prefer just, you can't beat like AA. They're widely available, easy to change out.
Definitely easy to deal with, and they're widely available, but they make the flashlight a bit bigger than a AAA is all.
Yeah. That's true.
Not, but a bit.
Yeah, but I mean, do you really want a tiny flashlight? I mean, do we all have Gizzard Gary hands?
Well, sometimes you want, I really like the single AAA Streamlights, that form factor. Yep. I really like that little of light, but I also like a little single 123 because that can be even shorter. It's a little fatter, but it's shorter. But no, I hear you. By the time you put 2 AAAs in there, you might as well get a AA.
I've got 2 AA Streamlight, which I love. I use it at work.
2 in a pen, though, like 2 in a row, like a pen.
Yeah,
not next to each other. Yeah,
it's basically it's about the size of a mini maglite, so it's not huge, and it has been reliable.
The size of a Sharpie or something. Yeah, they're super nice. The only thing that dies on me is the clickers. When I was using them at work, like on and off constantly all day long, I kill the clickers pretty hard.
I had tried the cheap LED flashlights and they wouldn't last. The maglights, the mini maglights, were great and they lasted, but I got tired. You drop them and the bulb breaks, and they're not as bright.
So I can't tolerate a bulb anymore with that dead spot in the center. Like, no way. Not after I'm too accustomed to LEDs with that uniform, nice, whatever you call it, like throw.
Yep.
And so I tried the Streamlight 2A, and I've loved it. I've got the larger version of that, which has, I think it uses the 123s, which I didn't realize it did. Otherwise, I just would have bought another one of the one that I had. But it, I keep it in the car, and it's a good flashlight.
Super bright. I have what is this thing? I have a. They gave me a Nitecore, NITE core, and it's rechargeable with USB-C. And I've been using this, I think, for 2 years since they gave it to me at like SHOT Show or something. Like, I've been using this thing, and I don't abuse it, but I also don't treat it tenderly or nothing. And I mean, I'm not complaining. What I like about it is that it's got a USB-C hole in it, so I don't need any kind of thing. I just jam a USB-C charger into it. But it also has a lock, so I can lock it so that it won't turn on in my pocket. And I don't know if I've had other lights with a sliding physical lock so that it won't turn on in my pocket, but I really like that.
So most of them I've reviewed have a lockout function, but you have to do it with the button.
Right, like some kind of Cambo. And I mean, I've had...
Typically, it's like 3 or 4 clicks right in a row or something like that, or hold it for like 5 seconds.
Right. This one is like, say, a physical switch, like sometimes a knife will have, and I hate it on knives, but I'm really getting into it with this. I mean, I really like it on the... Well, in this case, it's well made, but I like it on... I guess I could do this.
Yeah, I just got one sent to me by Nitecore, Actually got it today, as a matter of fact. I finally got a light from Night Court to review. So,
Yep. I think he hit a wrong button.
Uh-oh. So am I the only person? Oh, go ahead, Buzz.
I was going to say, X Adam 1 said he carries a StreamYard macro, the stream macro.
Nice. So am I the only person who ever just wonders what it is that people are doing with their lives where they have to carry a flashlight on them all the time? Like, don't get me wrong. There's times where I'll be like, oh man, it'd be convenient to have a flashlight right now. But those times only happen, once every couple of years for me.
when I used to work out at the plant, I used to carry a small pen light, actually as a keychain flashlight on me, just so if somebody needed me to look at the back of their computer to track down a wire or something like that, it was real handy to have on me in that field of work.
And in situations like that, where like you could be needing it for work, totally get it. But people that are just like, yeah, I have this office job where I'm just pushing papers, but I'm gonna carry, this flashlight and this, that, and the other thing, which, like, awesome. I totally understand being prepared, but sometimes I'm just like, I feel like some people are just looking for a reason to use a flashlight because they're like, I wore this one out and I wore that one out. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Like,
I keep one in the car, and I've got on my keychain, a little rechargeable one.
You should totally check the one in your car. I don't know how many flashlights that I junked when I was driving truck because of the constant vibration. It would just wreck the electronics inside.
And the heat.
Well, I do it
crazy from cold to hot in a car.
I bring it in to make sure it's charged, so I do check it now and again.
So I use a light constantly, but I think it's more of a once you get accustomed to it being in your pocket thing. But like Izzard was saying, if you think about even in an office experience job, looking behind a desk, underneath the desk, like underneath of a water cooler, just the little things that I need that paper clip or where did somebody put this? It gets handy. But even if you're just doing like I'm picking my nails or I'm trying to clean something, light gives you that. You don't have to walk over to the window or something to get it in the light. It just once you've got it and you're used to it, and it's a useful light, not one that's complicated or bulky or something. So you can just pull it out of your pocket and use it. I think it's the same as like pocket knives. Like it's not like people need a pocket knife, but once you get used to it, you're just not going to use your fingernails for stuff. You're not going to bite stuff. You've got this knife that you can get to quickly and use it, and then get rid of it quickly. I think it's just once you get accustomed to it, you start figuring out uses for it. Where regular people are just, people that don't have a light on are just gonna walk over to the thing, or they're gonna turn on a light in the room. You know what I mean? Like it's not like there's not light. I think it's just a convenience thing. Just you don't have to. You get used to not having to go anywhere to get a light. You just know it's in your pocket.
Garage Guy said, if it's a tiny light does the job, then who am I to argue? And Vulcan Rumble, my Nebo Torchy broke after 5 years. I miss it. M. Gabriel, if it won't fit on my hat, it's not EDC for me.
That's a good point too. That's a great use of
light. Excuse me, sorry. No, I've got a little Olight that fits on your hat, and like out of any of the Olights that I have, that's my favorite one because it's not rechargeable. It takes, I think, a AA. It might take a AAA. Pretty sure it's a AA though. And whenever I need it, I can just click it and it works. And if by chance I pick it up and it's dead, I just change the battery. I don't have to worry about, I got to recharge this now.
Yeah.
Like that's my whole thing with Olights. I hate having to recharge it because a lot of times, like my kids don't like to turn off flashlights when they want to mess around with them. So then next thing I know, I go pick up a flashlight. I'm like, oh great, this is dead.
I like to have both in the house, both rechargeable and both and ones that use conventional batteries, and Guns and Water brings up the ones that use both. Which I know they make great sense, but for some reason I don't like them, and I don't have a good reason why I don't like them.
Well, another way to compromise is to get rechargeable batteries that are batteries. So, like a AAA battery that you just either put into a charger or has a plug in it, and you just plug it in right away. And then that way you get the best of both worlds. You can use a regular battery, but you're also able to recharge the one. So, like you're talking about, like if the kids leave it on, you don't care. You just recharge the battery. It's not like you wasted $1 or $2 or whatever batteries cost now.
Now, this is my favorite light I used to carry at work. It's a Coast G19. You can get it at any academy and stuff for like $10, but it's an inspection beam, so it makes like a perfect circular beam. So it's really nice if you're trying to find something. You don't want to light up a whole area. You can just see it just makes a finite circle.
I prefer a triangular throw, but I guess I can handle the circle.
So
I like quadrihedral.
It's really handy. It's not too bright, but it's kind of like Barbecue says. It runs on just a plain old AAA battery, and it's real durable. I've dropped it. It's the best $7 or $8 I've ever spent on a flashlight.
I get the streamlined version to that. I think that's a great form factor.
I was messing around on Amazon a few months ago, and I came across this because I do like the skinny pen lights that you can just like keep in your pocket.
I love
like a
the
nerd.
form factor of the pen lights, but they're not durable.
No, but I found it was like a 5-pack of them on Amazon for like $8, and I was like, "This is awesome," and they work great. I haven't worn one out or anything like that yet. I'm enjoying it. I mean, granted, it's not like I'm not just like flicking it on and off and all kinds of stuff. Like, is it going to stand up to constant use? Probably not. Again, it's a 5-pack for $8, but they take 2 AAAs, and I've bought pen lights that were $15, and I couldn't tell you the difference between these and those.
Yeah, I stopped buying them, when I had a collection of dead pen lights. And it's like, oh shit,
right?
But I love the form factor.
Another thing that I use lights for that Gnarby Barbecue isn't using them for this way, but whenever it happened more at gun shows back in the day when we would just be at a gun show and maybe knew what somebody would want or something like that. But you could do it at SHOT Show or something like that. But if you're in a crowd and you're looking for somebody, or you're just trying to get somebody's attention in a crowd, they're not necessarily going to hear their phone, and it might be a pain in the ass to try to text them or something like that. So just having a light that you can flash a few times, especially if they're looking around, if they're looking for you in the crowd, every once in a while they're going to put their head up and look around, and that's going to happen. Then you can be sitting there waiting for them. And when they do look over at you, you flash a few times with your flashlight. Nobody else gives a shit that it happened. It's quiet. Nothing, it's very inconspicuous, I guess. But we've done that plenty of times to, find each other in a crowd. And I suspect you could do it as like if you were out hunting or doing something, at night or whatever, you can always a couple of flashes in a parking lot, where your friends are type of thing. So, it's not like I do that every day, but I've definitely, because we all had flashlights all the time, we all knew that we could, use that as that indicator.
I always like sending smoke signals.
Well, no, nobody in here smokes. I was saying like Clover or something might be able to do something with his pipe like that. But when I was working, we would use lights constantly. So I think I just got in the habit. I usually have a knife clipped on my pocket, so I can grab it, and then the flashlight floating around in my pocket because I don't usually clip my knife to nothing.
Guns and Water said the Streamlight Stylus, which coincidentally I just bought on Amazon. So if they don't work, I'm blaming you. I actually bought 2, so we'll give one away at some future giveaway.
Oh
you can
my
always
god!
Gizzard. Gizzard is
And-
affiliated with Amazon.
And they're going to be delivered today by 10 p.m. I always forget to use Gizzard's link.
Which one did
Yeah.
you get? Amazon has several.
I got the silver one and the black one because the black one was on sale. So I figured, well, shit, I'll pick up a second one and give it away.
I meant to use somebody's link recently, and I completely forgot the other night. I was just so focused on getting the camera lens that I was looking to get, completely slipped my mind. So it's like $2,800 that could have gone towards somebody's.
Ouch! Holy crap!
Yep.
That's a lot of
Yep.
money.
Yeah, Amazon will not let G-Webs. If I buy from his store, they won't give him credit for it for some reason.
No, well, they know enough about, like, they follow us or pay attention to our shit, or our phones chirp to each other or something. Because our phones are chirping to each other through these chats, I'm sure. So it's the same as if we're in the same room, I bet. But anyway, they know if you're friends or family, and they won't give you credit when you're friends or family. I don't know. I mean, I think it's lame, but I guess for them it's wise business or something.
X Adam 1 said he bought a harpoon gun.
Nice.
Delivery today.
That sounds awesome.
I'm not sure if he did or not. He may be joking.
I don't know. With it being X Adam 1, I feel like he totally bought a harpoon gun, and then he's just gonna make a video like decking it out with a bunch of cool shit.
So I was gonna say probably spray paint it.
You know how many movies ended up positively because thanks to a spear gun? So I don't
At
think
least
there's,
one.
well, there's a whole bunch. I mean, I can think of like 6 probably. So I don't think there's any downside to having a spear gun, really, unless you're a shark or like some kind of fish.
Guns Water said lifetime warranty on all Streamlight flashlights.
Yep.
Thing is, I've never seen Streamlight in an event. I don't. Have they ever? Do they go to events, Gizzard? Like, you go to more events than me now. Like, I don't see them set up.
I think they're a shot.
I started buying Streamlight just because it's an American company.
Well, I wish they were. I mean, I buy them also, but they always say made in Japan on them. Or I mean, made in China on them. Let me see.
X Adam 1 said he's not joking.
Awesome. I was kind of hoping that he was joking, just because after what we said about him having to make a video and stuff, that he'd be like, crap, now I have to go buy a harpoon gun. But even better that he's not joking.
So did you get the Stylus or the Stylus Pro?
The Stylus.
Because the Stylus Pro, I think, is 2 batteries. But they look cooler.
I can show you what I bought. I bought that one. Streamlight 65012 Stylus 11 lumen white LED pen light with 3 quadruple A.
What in the world are?
Oh, you bought a doctor light. That's what we would use, like, to check people's pupils and shit.
Quadruple A's are even smaller than triple A's. I mean, like, I'm sure you could have deduced that. But those are a pain in the ass to find.
They're smaller.
Oh yeah,
too.
I didn't even realize they were quadruple A. So
he's like, it has some number of A's. I guess I'll buy it.
And say the batteries are going to cost you as much as the light.
Maybe if you put 2 double A's together, it'll be like one quadruple A.
As long as it works.
It'll work fine.
It's cool. That's all that matters.
Well, there's 3, so that's going to be a 4.5 volt light, so it's going to be bright for like 5 minutes, and then it'll be.
Well, I wonder what the other one I bought was. Yep, so is the other one. So somebody's going to win a 3 AAA or quadruple A flashlight.
Well, they have a rechargeable one too. Cool. It's $60.
A rechargeable quadruple A battery or a rechargeable?
No, the Streamlight stylus.
But that style with the bulb sticking out the end is the kind that we would always check people's pupils with in school.
But if you drop that, wouldn't you break the bulb?
No, it's like a LED. It's pretty strong. It's not like a piece of glass. I mean, it might be glass, but it's solid. It's pretty strong. It's more of a lens, right? It's like the LED is there, but then you know how LEDs have that lens to make it bright or make it wider.
So I like how the Stylus takes 2 quadruple A's. The Stylus Pro takes 2 triple A's. And then there's the Stylus Pro rechargeable, which is USB 3.5.
Oh, let me look at the Pro Stylus Pro.
Around $28, but you can get it in orange. That's what kind of attracted me.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Heck yeah, $28 for looks like a nice looking line.
Let's say, and it's triple A's instead of quadruples.
Mm-hmm. I keep triple A's here all the
Like,
time.
I'm kind of curious, like, why did they completely redo the housing? Although the Stylus Pro rechargeable is 250 lumens more.
I mean, that's all I need's another flashlight around here, but I don't have one like that.
I know. Like,
and I can't get Streamlight to send me free stuff.
This is the one I have at work.
Oh, I wonder if I could get Streamlight to send me free stuff just because I'm blind. Be like, it'll help me see. I'll make you all kinds of sweet videos and have blind jokes in them and shit.
The ProTac 2A. I
mean,
it's a great flashlight.
Once you've got a photography website, I think that ship's already sailed, is to make jokes about your eyes.
Yeah, but I can't see everything through the camera lens. I wish I could. It'd be friggin' awesome, but
yeah, the Stylus Pro doesn't have the form factor that I like. The Stylus does, but it's got the quadruple A batteries. Hopefully it comes with them.
Yeah, because you can't run down to your normal dollar store and find those.
It does come with it, so good.
Can you even get them at like Walgreens? I'm trying to look at what they look like. I must have had them.
I would just order them off Amazon.
I was going to say, Roy Munson says you could buy them off Amazon. I imagine so.
How much are they?
That Energizers are like $5 for 2.
8 of them.
Oh my God.
8
I
of them
bought
for
I bought the Amazon double A's in the bulk pack. They're fine.
You can get rechargeable quadruple A's for $9 for 2 in a charger. You can get
honestly
4 of
the blue pack of batteries from Harbor Freight aren't bad. The yellow pack sucks, but the blue ones aren't bad.
I get the big packs from Costco.
I don't have a Costco. Closest one to me, I think, is in Cleveland.
Yeah, we don't all live in the city.
I don't use a Costco. There's probably like 4 of them in Tucson. I don't know them anymore.
I'm a little surprised that they haven't put one in Erie just to compete with Sam's Club.
We have like 4 Costco's, I think, 3 or 4 Costco's, and then we've got 1 Sam's Club. So they're not as popular.
There's not really any Sam Clubs around here.
I've never even been in there because it's like Costco. You got to be a member, right? Like Costco, you
Yeah.
can only get pizza. I don't know if there's stuff like pizza at Sam's Club.
Yeah. Yeah, they have pizza.
But like non-members can go in there and get it
I don't think so.
because
No,
non-members
first
can
you have to be a member.
at
I
Costco.
mean, as long as you go in with a member,
Yes.
but even
sure.
then, like the member has to pay and stuff like that.
Is that how it is at Costco, or can regular people get a pizza at Costco?
Oh, I don't know about Costco.
I don't remember either. I seem to remember getting one, but I don't remember if I was a member or not.
I gave up
Oh,
my
now-
Sam's membership.
Now you have to scan your Costco card at the door.
You can get in.
So I heard of a life hack where if somebody wants to go to Costco, if they know somebody that has a Costco membership, to avoid going there without a membership, or to avoid having to have a membership to go there, I should say, if you buy them a Costco gift card,
Yeah.
they can then enter without membership and do their shopping.
It's like you can show that at the door instead of a membership card.
Yep.
That's good to know.
Just learned that like a day or two ago.
And I'm assuming you just do the same thing at the register. You're like, here's my gift card. Don't worry about my membership card. How long before you think flashlights will be something that you throw up in the air and they hover above us, being like a spotlight or a searchlight or whatever we need?
Flashlight drones.
Yeah. How long do you think before they just like hover like little fairies or whatever? Like, you know, like either being a headlight for us if like we're on a bicycle or something, like they just, you know, like an over the shoulder headlight where they're coming from above like that. And then they would also be an indicator that you're there, right? They would be like the same as having like, you know, like a light on your bike. And then if you were hiking or something or walking, same kind of thing, you'd have kind of anyway, how long do you think before we have something?
I think a long time.
I don't see much use for it. Like, why would you want it hovering over you if it's dark and you're hiking or biking or anything like that? You need to see in front of you, not.
Well, I'm saying it would be above your shoulder, but a spotlight. You know, like if somebody was holding a Surefire light above your shoulder for you, still shining it in front of you like a headlight. It's just instead of coming from underneath you, it's coming from above you.
The only way I could see that being useful is like you'd have to have glasses or something integrated with it. That way, when you turn your head to look at something, the drone would then, because otherwise, like, what's that noise over there? Is that a lion in the bushes? And then you're eaten because it's still looking forward and not looking at the lion that was in the bushes.
No, that's 100%. I think that's what it would be, is something like associated with your hat or your glasses or something, so that, yeah, it's looking where you're looking. And that's why I think it's an advantage, because if it was in front of you like a headlight, it can't see over to your right. But if it's above your head, it can look anywhere. And I think that's where and I think it would have to just be something as simple as the same way we have magnets repel each other, you know, some sort of a magnetic force that is just a little bit stronger than gravity, because it would only have to hold a little tiny light up there. And then as soon as you can do that, then yeah, you can, like you say, like tether it or like associate it with the brim of your hat or something. And now it's just looking where you're looking. I don't know. I mean, it would be a semi-novelty. I'm sure for some people it'd be a useful thing, but I'm just thinking, you know, once we can figure out how to make that kind of thing happen, then I'll bet you we'll have something like that.
What I could see it being most useful for is people that like to read in the dark.
There you go. Yeah.
They don't have to have a desk lamp that they're messing with. They don't have to have, light around their neck. They don't have to be holding a light. You know, there's just this thing over their shoulder, and you know, it stays there as long as you want.
No, I think that would be a great use for it.
I saw a guy that he lost an eye, and so his artificial eye, he put in a light that he can turn on. So
I
he's
see
got a
that,
little
yeah.
light in his eye.
Oh, that'd be awesome. What'd be even more awesome is if they could like attach it to some nerves so he can move it around.
Turn it on when you want.
He should totally do that with a laser.
Well, get one of these things that's like 3, right? Have like the floodlight, the spotlight, and then the laser or something like that.
But it needs to make the do 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 sound.
Uh-huh. And they should spin into position.
Oh, plus, this
Yeah.
is totally off of topic. I apologize. But remember how on Rich's show last week we were talking about midget tossing? And that I'm trying to get credential. So turns out the midget tossing that I'm trying to get credentials for on May 30th, they're up in your area right now.
Really?
But by your area, I mean Washington State. But like they've got a bunch of dates on the calendar right now in Washington and Oregon. If you look up Little Mania Midget Wrestling, that's literally what it's called. You could probably find it. Yeah, I did not realize that they're going like all over the country. I thought it was more of a regional type thing, but
yeah,
they're going all over. I was like, that's pretty sweet.
I'm looking, just trying to. Oh, I'll be damned! They're going to be in Lacey, which is like right next door.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you miss it?
well, the May 6th, so it's next week.
Oh, it's what, Tuesday?
Yeah, and it's 6:30, 8 and 8 p.m. I can't make those.
I feel like you should make them and take your daughter. She would love it. Just because, like, they're her size.
Oh, for Woods, they're going to be in Lakewood on the 10th. You're still out there, Woods?
Woods, you need to go watch the midget tossing and let Patriot in the Dark know how it is.
At the Palace Casino.
I have a question about the time frame on the bracket tonight. Like, how's that scheduling going to happen?
I do have a bracket.
Well, thank God.
We want to do it. Do we want to do a bracket?
Well, I did make special arrangements to be here tonight.
Gary, it's up to you. Bracket or no bracket?
Oh, gosh, if it's up to me, you always got to opt for the bracket.
Well, that's a good option there, Gary, because G-Webs and I would have curb stomped you.
M. Gabriel hates brackets. He's leaving. Have a good night.
There's always one.
I'm going to say you can't trust those Pittsburgh guys.
Roy Munson said bracket for a best movie with a prominent harpoon. But I guess I got to do that.
Let's get it on!
All right. So tonight's bracket is best kids toy. Last week we talked about kids games. Now we've got kids toys. These are kind of elementary age toys. Got jump rope, the red rubber ball, like kickball and Foursquare. Ping.
An inflatable ball.
Yeah. jacks, marbles, a kite, lawn darts, either lawn darts or jarts, depending on where you are and what they call them. Not sharts. Action figure, Hot Wheels, and that includes
Does that include
Matchbox cars.
Matchbox? Okay.
Yeah. Yo-yo, Nerf football, frisbee, cap gun, squirt gun, the Stretch Armstrong, water balloons, and the little green army men.
So can you not get army women? I kind of figured that'd be a thing now.
Nope.
Well, this is then, not now.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me. Are we okay with all these? Anything we want to change?
Well, there's no harpoons in there. I guess
No.
the charts are close enough.
So let me go up and we will shuffle. Get these all shuffled up. I thought about putting the Evel Knievel cycle in there, but I don't know if enough people would know what it was.
That's tough. I can see Capcom winning this one. No, I agree with Brian.
Because I almost put in Shogun Warriors too, because that's one of the coolest toys ever conceived of.
Let's see that. I was going to say, like, like Capcom and Star Wars figures or whatever you got in there are, well, like, I don't know. I can't think about when you stop playing with toys, but that's like, the last toys I played with where Jax and some of the early shit was like some of the first toys you play with. So this is a pretty big spectrum of toys, I guess. Because you don't have like Lego in here. Like that would be a dominate one. Lincoln Logs.
I didn't. Yeah, when I was made the list just before the chat. I didn't think.
Then like something like Puzzle, is that a toy or is that like a game? Like so it's like Rubik's Cube. Like where's that?
So should we put Legos in? Maybe switch out the Stretch Armstrong for Legos.
Stretch Armstrong is pretty specific. I only remember that for like a year or two.
Yeah, these must be specific to just one person's childhood because a lot of these things didn't exist when I was a kid.
Basically, all of these are.
Stick and ball is kind of lame once you have baseball.
Well, I thought about putting for Gary the barrel hoop and a stick, but
yeah, exactly.
Oh, we had
FG made out of straw.
We had Tinker toys; those were way cooler than Legos.
Lincoln Logs.
Yeah, no, seriously, Lincoln Logs were pretty neat. And Erector sets, like
oh hell yes, oh yeah.
Lincoln Logs were badass.
And then chemistry sets. I mean, I've seen. I was old enough to have seen a real chemistry set when I was a little kid. I never got it, and then when I got old enough to get chemistry sets, they turned into garbage.
I had a microscope kid. I remember that.
But anyway, so there's a lot of spectrum here. So I don't know. I could see changing out Lego for Stretch Armstrong, and now Lego could win against even Capguns, I think.
I feel like leave it.
Well, we switched it out. So let me shuffle again.
Rigged.
We switched the team.
What the frick is going on with this?
All right, so first matchup is a yo-yo versus Jax. The little ball, bouncy ball, and basically the Calprix.
I mean, these are good.
You don't want to step on them. What's that?
These are a good matchup for sure. They're both like the same kind of level of toy.
So which are you going to choose, G-Webs? Yo-yo or Jax?
I never played Jax, but I would rather play Jax than play with a fucking yo-yo. At least Jax, you can play with somebody else or do something with it. So I've never been a yo-yo person. I know people get into it, but I just never did.
Barbecue.
What are the options?
Yo-yo or Jax?
I'm gonna have to go with the yo-yo.
Yo-yo.
I mean, Jax were cool to use as tank traps for your army dudes.
Yep.
But that's the only good use for them.
And they're basically a girl's game too. Like I'm pretty sure it's like a girl thing.
That's what Roy said. He said yo-yo. Jacks were girls' toy when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Oh,
At
way
least
to gender
only
shame
people
people.
Only people I ever seen playing jacks were girls, is all I'm saying. But I never really
Gary?
seen anybody playing jacks. It's not like people were running around playing jacks.
Well, now that I'm going to be shamed for picking anything other than yo-yos, I never was good. I never was good with yo-yo. I'm going to say jacks. You can say whatever you want to.
Jacks.
I
I
picked
I
jacks.
played with jacks. Let's get it. You know, it's a skill. It's a skill game.
Yeah, it's like hopscotch or something.
But I'm gonna say yo-yo. I did enjoy yo-yo, which means it's a tie, and we need the chat to break the tie.
Well, jacks is also like gambling in a way.
At least we know how Gary met all of his wives. They're just down shooting jacks, and Gary's like, "Can I play?" And then next thing you know, he's like, "All right, let's make this interesting. If I win, you marry me." And they're like, "Okay." And then Gary just hustled him the whole time.
Roy
I
said
never
Gary has
married
cooties.
anybody I went to school with, so shoots that figured. Oh heck.
Roy said yo-yo, so we've got one for yo-yo. Anyone else out there?
That's
Wanna
it's going to
vote?
go with one vote.
Your vote matters. X Adam 1 said yo-yo.
That sunk it. It's yo-yo.
Guns and Water, yo-yo. So yo-yo is going to move on. I could do kind of the simple tricks: walk the dog, sleeper, rock the cradle, round the world.
I could go up and down for a while and then get it all tangled somehow. Did it start out as a weapon though? Like if it started out as a weapon, I could get behind yo-yo.
Probably did. Mr. Bob Dabalina said Tommy Smothers special. He was very good with the yo-yo. So now we've got the Nerf football versus marbles. G-Webs.
I'm not a sports, so marbles.
Marble. Barbecue.
Definitely the Nerf football. The only thing marbles were good for was putting them into slingshots.
Exactly. And what was cool about a Nerf football is you could jam a glow stick in one. You could make a rip in it and jam a glow stick in there and wing it. There's somebody who I couldn't wing it, but somebody who could wing it, that would be pretty cool because it would kind of spin when it flew it, or it would spin when it flew.
Gary.
Oh, we played many a game with a Nerf football, so I'm going to go with the Nerf football.
Nerf football.
Don't leave them out in the rain.
I was gonna say, remember like a Nerf football when a dog got at it and then it was out in the rain, and then somebody'd be like, "Hey, look, let's just throw this wet ass sponge around."
But then they come out with those improved ones that were a little bit harder on the outside. You could really zip them things.
I kind of like the ones that would whistle.
Yep.
Yeah, they changed the shape of them, right, so that they would fucking shoot farther or something. Maybe it's like a cheater football.
Guns and Water brought up the lighted butterfly. Those were the shit when I was a kid. The ones that lit up.
What is
The
that?
yo-yos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roy Munson said they're both kind of sports. I'm gonna have to go. I liked marbles. I liked the physical marble and liked playing, but the football you could take it anywhere, play with, 2 or more people.
I'm more into the thumb sports than the running around. I used to know my time sport.
X Adam 1, Three Kings movie, C4 and a Nerf football to kill everyone. Nice spiral pass. So now we've got the Frisbee And I guess we'll include the Aerobee in that too. Frisbee and Aerobee against the red rubber ball, the schoolyard red rubber ball.
Is that
Gee.
the round thing that had a metal in it?
It was the kind of like if you took a Frisbee and cut out the middle. It was just a
It
thin
was just a
disc.
ring, but it was
Yeah.
metal and had a rubber on it. Yeah, I have one of those right now.
And they
Frisbee,
fly.
sure. I like Frisbee. We had a lot of fun with Frisbees. You could have wars with Frisbees. You can play golf with Frisbees. What you said about carrying around a football, I'd rather carry around a Frisbee for damn sure. So you can have two more people and have fun with a Frisbee. And then going to shows, like dead shows and shit with a Frisbee and hacky sacks and shit was the whole thing. Red rubber ball, I never fucking owned one. I never knew anybody that did because of we all had trauma from being creamed in dodgeball. So, I mean, I guess you could technically buy one, but I don't think I ever knew anyone that owned one. Out of like the only time I ever seen them was at school. I think we all had some kind of PTS from it.
Barbecue.
Did you guys know people that owned red rubber balls?
They were always just at school in the play yard.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if I even seen them at schools or at
Our
stores.
school had a big cardboard box that held a bunch of them. And
Yeah.
after lunch, you could go get one out of that box and take out to the playground.
I don't think we ever did that, but I know what you're talking about. I've seen that in movies and shit. But we could bring them from home. We could bring our own balls, but I don't think the school ever let us use them except for in gym.
Which are you voting for? Barbecue Frisbee or the red rubber ball?
Red rubber ball, without doubt. I have this really bad luck with Frisbees where if there's a window around and I throw the Frisbee, it manages to find the window. I don't know why. I could be throwing away from the window. It will come back towards me and hit the window and break.
Gary.
I'm going with the red rubber ball.
Dang.
Red rubber ball. Defense Dad, he said red rubber ball. Roy Munson said Frisbee, better weapon.
For sure. Frisbee Wars? Come on.
I was never great at Frisbee. I mean, I could throw them fairly straight, but I couldn't do any of the tricks with them. And friend and I, this was after high school, but we'd go down to the park and then play Frisbee golf, and we'd just pick out targets, like go over that bench, hit that tree.
Yeah, that's totally the way to play Frisbee. But you can do stuff like horse with a Frisbee, where you're like, I mean, I've done that where you just go out to a field when it's windy and you're like winging into the wind and it's like a boomerang, comes right back to you kind of shit. Like, get it through that hole. We're not like barbecue where we're breaking windows and shit, but we're trying to get it through like holes in a tree or something.
But I'm going to say red rubber ball, actually, because I think over my childhood,
oh my goodness,
had more fun with the red rubber ball than I did with the Frisbee.
What can you do with a red rubber ball? Like, oh, I'm going to kick it. That's it.
Yep.
That's one thing. Like, done. Like, no.
I feel like if kids were still getting beaten with red rubber balls, they'd have better character these days.
That dodgeball was an awesome game. It hurt, and that's what made it fun.
Yep.
Dodgeball.
So now we've got lawn darts versus Hot Wheels. Ooh, I think that's a tough matchup.
Not for me. Lawn darts were fun for like 1 or 2 summers, but Hot Wheels were pretty fun for a while. So, the race cars or whatever. They're fun by themselves, or if you got a track, or if you got like some kind of a shooter. Then there was like the whole thing of painting them. For like a while, we got into like modifying them, I guess, painting them and shit. So, I think they're cool.
And the Hot Wheels track stunned like a mother when you hit each other with them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Barbecue, lawn darts, or Hot Wheels?
I have to go with Hot Wheels only because I was not alive when lawn darts were still allowed.
Gary.
Yeah, we pretty much ruined it in like 2 years. Like they didn't last very long. Everybody killed each other or whatever we did with them, and they got taken away pretty quick.
What you going for, Gary? Lawn darts or Hot Wheels?
I've never actually seen lawn darts other than on videos and stuff like that. Everybody had Hot Wheels, so I'm going Hot Wheels.
Roy said Hot Wheels.
It had to be
Fred's dad, Hot Wheels.
It had to be like 4th grade, so I'd have to do the math on what year that was. But like whatever year that was, everybody had lawn darts, and then you never seen them again. Like they only lasted 2 summers, maybe. And then
Lawn darts were fun
visual,
and dangerous and scary.
Oh,
I
they
made
were
them
so awesome.
thrilling.
My backyard had this big tree right in the middle, and I can remember, and it was like the perfect size tree for lawn darts. So we'd be out there winging them, and you would wing them and then run under the tree. And depending on how much balls you had, you ran closer to the trunk or not, because less chance of getting killed if they're underneath branches than leaves. But you could hear it coming through the leaves, so you could get out of the way potentially. Yeah, they were amazing. They were super. I don't know who came up with that thinking. Oh yeah, people will only throw them 6 feet at the ground.
But I'm gonna go Hot Wheels.
And then there was a whole other thing because the way that our backyards were, there was no fence between me and my one neighbor. So, and they were never home, so they didn't know what we did in their backyard. And we would just, there was like a handle on the back, and then they were kind of like a dart, but it was really just a handle and a big metal dart. And we could just like try to see how far we could wing them. So like we were little, so but we could get them across my whole yard into the neighbor's yard. So just out of nowhere, it would be like thud, and like a big steak knife would come, like launching into the grass or whatever. It was probably good for the grass for a while. But they were as long as like a steak knife.
Guns of Water said clackers were another toy the Karens got rid of.
Oh, that thing that just went back and forth and made noise?
Yeah, click, clack, click, clack, click, clack.
I can't imagine a parent buying that for a kid. Like you'd be like, "Oh, here's a nice toy. Oh, give me that back."
Oh, so now we've got the action figure versus a kite. G-Webs.
Well, I've definitely tied Star Wars figures to kites before, but there's no contest there. Star Wars figures, I was that generation. Like they were made for us, and we were made for them. We lived my whole little kid life is Star Wars figures. So Star Wars figures.
Barbecue.
Like one of my favorite toys growing up was wrestling action figures. So definitely going with action figures.
Gary.
Well, definitely not Star Wars action figures, seeing as that movie came out when I was in high school. But we had so I guess that qualifies as an action figure too. And you could play with them indoors. The weather had to be just so in order to enjoy a kite. And I love kites, don't get me wrong, but just for day in, day out action figures.
I think G.I. Joe was the first action figure, right? Like that's why they call them that.
And Gary was saying kite, K-I-T-E.
Just so that's correct.
You ever do the fighting with kites?
I haven't.
I was just watching on Instagram the other day of people fighting with kites, and it's like they throw out a little cheap kite, like just some sticks and stuff because it's cheap, big long tail, but then like an entire probably 1,100 foot or yard roll of thread, like what like a massive industrial thing of thread. So you can barely see the kite; it's so far away. So I guess that's part of it is having like a massive amount of thread or a string, I guess, going out to your kite so that you fight with it like 1.5 miles away from you. It's pretty crazy.
See, I enjoy kites a lot more now than I did when I was a kid because I actually know how to fly them. And I remember when people used to buy them for my kids, and they'd get bored with them after about 15 minutes, and I'd end up playing with them out in the yard for like 2 or 3 hours, seeing how high I could get them, how long I could keep them up in the air, and there's a trick to it.
I think they're a lot of fun. Exactly, if like you're got in the mood or whatever, if you got the time. Like when I'm out camping is when we would play with them, and we had a lot of fun with kites. But like you say, you have to have the right conditions, right? It has to be during the day and shit. Like you're not flying a kite at night.
It'd always be
Right.
March. March is when you start buying kites because that's the windy month.
You don't want real strong wind to fly a kite, though. You just need a kind of a moderate breeze.
Right, unless you feel like wrestling it the whole time.
Right.
You know, I've always wanted to throw a camera up on a kite when I was a little kid, and now that's totally feasible, like super easy. So I probably should do that at one point, just to do it, so I can say I've done it in my life.
We'd get them so high in the air you could barely see them. About the end of your.
Yeah,
They didn't
right.
use string; they'd use like monofilament fishing line on there, basically. But yeah, we'd get them as far as they'd go.
You could
Roy
put up
said
on
I was into wrestling action figures. And Defense Dad said Gary saw his neighbor get his kite hit by lightning.
when they invented electricity.
I do enjoy kites. When we used to go meet my sisters at the beach in the Washington coast, I'd always take 3 kites. 2 of them I'd run up about 100 feet so they could find where I was. And then had a smaller one that I'd only run about 50 feet up. But, once you get them up, they'd stay up for as long as we were there, and just tie them to the car. But
So it's just wind going constantly, you mean?
yeah.
I went to this summer festival thing up in Kansas City where they had like a concert and stuff. It was in a big park up there, and they had these oversized kites that these guys made. It literally were ropes that they were using these things. It took 2 or 3 guys to handle one of these. It was pretty awesome watching these. They were like big box kites.
Oh, that's neat. I've seen kites where you have like 3 or 4 people holding on to them. That is kind of
Yeah. It's pretty damn cool watching them do that.
Out at the coast, there's a kite festival every year in, I think, March. And they'll have the huge kites, the ones that fill up in the middle. They're kind of hollow. So they look almost like parade balloons. The whales and all kinds of different shapes. But I went with action figures because I loved I had the little G.I. Joes. I didn't have the big doll size action
when
figures.
they came out with because we all lived Star Wars figures forever, and they'd come up with like wannabe Star Wars figures, brands and shit. But then when they came out with the G.I. Joes that were the size of Star Wars figures, that was like a fucking game changer. That was such a crazy, it blew everybody's minds, and it's like right at the right time.
Mr. Bob said in 1975, local radio station took over Forest Park for a kite fly. Rush and Charlie Daniels provided entertainment. The next evening, Charlie Daniels and Leonard Skinner played St. Louis 2. Got to go to both events.
So what size are G.I. Joes now? Because when I was a kid, G.I. Joes were basically the same size as a Barbie. And it's a well-known fact that G.I. Joe could kick Ken's ass any day of the week, So.
Well, that's how they started out. And then they made them about half that size. And then that was for an era when I was a little kid. And then Star Wars figures came out, and then they moved G.I. Joe down to the size of Star Wars figures, and that's where they're at now.
Yeah, the 80s, kind of the 80s.
Star Wars
when
figures,
the TV show came out.
When the cartoon came out. The Star Wars figure size lets like a tank be reasonable, because when they're the size of Barbies, a tank turns into the size of a fucking giant toy, like a backyard toy.
Yep.
But they did, remember there was a, were they Fisher Price? I had a Winnebago that was made for, when they were half the size of a Barbie? They made Star Trek figures. They made superhero figures.
Probably Mego.
Yeah, and they had clothes. So they were still Barbies because they had clothes, like fabric clothes that you put on them, and you could dress them and change their clothes and shit. But then I had a Winnebago for that sized doll. I would call them dolls. But that thing was epic. And you could put the roof on. The roof would come off the Winnebagos. Anybody remember this? It was like a camper, right? For like that size Star Wars figure or G.I. Joe or whatever. And but Fisher Price or somebody made a line of like boring regular human toys that was for this Winnebago, I guess. But you could put the roof on it if you weren't playing inside of it, and then you could scoot around on it. It was like strong enough for a kid to sit on and scoot around on. It was a pretty neat thing, and it looked exactly like a Winnebago.
I think it was the 80s when the term action figure, late 70s, early 80s.
Oh, I thought I saw a show when they figured out like Barbies are selling. We need to sell them to boys, but we're not going to call them dolls. We're going to call them action figures. I thought that
might have been earlier. Yeah. So now we've got the Little Green Army Men against Legos.
Well, that's tough because you can incorporate both of these. You can use Legos to make, forts and shit for army dudes. Army dudes are a whole thing, and for a long, long time, we would go get firecrackers, and I would have lady fingers and those Green Army Men, and then just any hole in the ground or any like pile of dirt or any pile of rocks was epic. But then Legos happened, and I really got into Legos, so I pretty much haven't played with Army Men since Legos happened. So for me personally, Lego, but Army Men I could be talked into Army Men. I really like Army Men. And I also did a whole project one time because I was, doing YouTube and shit, and I was I don't know what got me interested in it, but I started thinking about Army Men, and I started doing some research on the line. And I don't know if people are interested in this or not, but those Army Men started out with like 2 or 3 companies, and they made these molds from like the olden days. And then those molds kept getting sold, and they kept getting shittier and shittier because they were the same fucking molds from the old days. And like there's some documentation out there. There's people that follow, and you can kind of, see the lineage of the original Army Men and stuff. So at some point it changes, and there's like a whole bunch of Chinese companies that start making them. For a while there, like the Army Men was an interesting thing to research. So I really like Army Men, but I'm going to pick Legos.
Barbecue, Army Men or Legos?
I'm gonna have to go with Legos.
Lego, my ego.
And we're all old enough to call them Legos because nowadays everybody calls them Lego.
Gary?
Legos.
Roy said, he asked, that's why Army Men from my childhood look like mutants.
Yep, exactly. And that's why they're all the same things. Like for, no one ever changed it because they literally just kept buying the same molds all the time.
I had some of the kind of big ones they were probably 3-4 inches, but when you're little, they're huge.
Yeah. I had one set of them ever, and that was it. I never got another one, but I've seen them in stores and stuff.
I melted one of them. I took some to school, and we were playing with them, throwing them up in the air, and it hit the power line. Melted the face.
On one of the big ones?
Yeah.
Huh. We would melt them all the time to get them to stand up. I mean, matches and fireworks and shit for me was a big chunk of, Army Men playing.
X Adam 1 said Legos. Nobody ever wanted Army guy holding the radio.
You could have like a fort catch on fire, start get a fort or something, get like a castle or something, and put them all on there, and then set it on fire, and just go buy more Army Men. That was the best part about them, is they were definitely disposable toys.
I'm gonna vote Army Men. I wasn't really into Legos. I did play with them, like when I get together my grandma's house with my cousin. He would always bring his Legos, and we'd build stuff. But I don't think I had Legos myself as a kid. But I had Army Men.
You know what Legos were? I'm just thinking about that. Like Legos were the iPad of like that generation. Like they would just be like, "Oh shit, we're bringing the kid. Get him a box of Legos," and he'll shut up and sit in the corner and make them Legos.
So now we've got a cap gun versus a water balloon.
Water
what?
balloons can suck it, I guess, because guns. Although squirt guns are better than cap guns, but we never played with water balloons. If we would have a pool, maybe we would have played with water balloons more.
Barbecue.
This one's rough. Water balloons were so good for shenanigans, and I really like performing shenanigans. But cap guns, like, you got to run around with a gun. It was awesome. I'm gonna go with water balloons because shenanigans.
Water balloon.
And because he hate guns.
Gary.
We didn't discover the fun of water balloons until I was in high school. And it was a lot more fun to throw them at people and stuff like that. I also found out that if you go to a gas station and put a quarter in one of them machines and get one of those condoms, they made great water balloons too. But as kids, cap guns. Everybody had cap guns, so I'm going cap guns.
Did they pop?
If you hit a vehicle with them, they did.
So that's how they test them.
Oh, you put a lot of water in one of them things.
When they make them, that's how they test them to make sure there's no holes in them, is they fill them with water.
Yeah. You can fill them up, tie them off. Yeah, they'll hold probably a pint of water.
As I say, there's like filling it with water, and then there's like overfilling it with water. Once it's overfull, it's probably ripe to bust.
Mr. Bob said water balloon fights for sure. X Adam said water balloons. Easy and cheap to refill. Cap guns only good for 5 shots, then too poor to buy the refills. That was one of the problems, was having to buy the caps.
What do you mean to refill? You're refilling water balloons? In my life, we get water balloons were a one-use thing.
No, the cap gun. Mr. Bob, every outdoor spigot in the neighbors had balloonarangs on them.
We didn't have the plastic caps when I was little. They were always the paper caps on a roll.
I was kind of old enough to have the paper and then transitioned into the plastic.
Plastic's cooler for sure.
I don't know, when you're a kid, you'd take the roll of the paper ones, just roll them out and then hit them with a rock.
Or a hammer. Yeah.
Or light them on fire. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that works too.
The paper ones are way better than the plastic. The plastic looks good on paper, right? Like it looks good in theory, but trying to pick that stupid rubber or that red thing out of a cap revolver was a pain in the ass. Like we didn't carry around knives and tweezers and shit. So like that thing would get in there and every hammer blow on the ring would smash it into the gun more. I didn't like those things. And then half time you'd pull them out and 3 or 4 of the little red things would stay stuck in the gun. So the paper ones were cruder, like they were older, but they fucking worked. It's like, they just worked. And then if you needed to, you could just smash them with a rock or whatever, and you could still make noise with them. So, but the problem is the paper ones would get wet and be ruined.
Roy said when the caps are gone, you still have the gun. When water balloons are gone, you have nothing.
That's an excellent point.
Mr. Bob said a bag of balloons was a dime, caps were a quarter. He's old.
No, I don't remember.
X Adam.
For those days, like that was given to me. I didn't have to buy nothing in those years. Like it was just whatever they gave us kind of shit.
Once we got the plastic nozzle to fit the water hose, it was so much more fun and way faster to fill the water balloons. Roy Munson.
Have you seen the things now where you squirt it and it makes like 100 balloons at once?
Yeah,
they all just fall off and they're balloons like a bag of balloons.
Roy said speed reloads were impossible with ring caps.
Again, on theory, it looks neat. I've never played with them.
I'm going to go cap gun. Water balloons were fun. I had high school. I had, would make my own water balloon launchers, but cap gun is a cap gun.
Oh, that's something we never did. That could be fun, where you get like 4 people or 2 people to hold the thing, and then a third person pulls it back. It's like a giant
those huge slingshots. Oh yeah, as adults, those were fun.
Yeah, I've never done that, but that seems like it'd be fun.
You could get the surgical tubing at a hardware store, and you cut off the top of a bleach bottle. That gave you a handle to pull back on
right away. Yeah, that's smart.
So now we've got a jump rope versus a squirt gun. G-Webs.
Well, squirt gun is obviously going to probably win this whole thing. The jump rope can go fuck itself. That's exercise.
Barbecue?
Really want to vote for squirt gun here, but really want to vote for jump rope because I try and get all my wrestlers to jump rope.
See, it's exercise. It's like work. Fuck
you got to go with the squirt gun.
Plus, it's a girl thing. Like, the girls are always jumping rope. Dudes would only jump rope if they were trying to get in shape.
Well, when you've got the good jump ropes, then you can do where you're going side to side and crossing your arms, and then when you hit your back of your calves, it leaves welts.
I got a jump rope right here that's got like ball bearings, and it's a piece of cable, and it's I think what you're talking about. It's like a 51. Is there something I saw something I think that the jumping up and down is good for you, like it's somehow good for some kind of lymphatic system or some shit like it, but the jumping up and down part is beneficial from jump roping. I guess it simulates what you would get from running.
I hadn't heard that.
No, I never have, but maybe I'll jump rope to test it out.
Do they make jump ropes long enough for you?
That's a good point. I didn't buy it. I guess I've technically this one at a bin store or whatever, but this one seems pretty long.
Maybe tie 2 of them together.
Yeah, there you
go. Gary, jump rope, squirt gun.
Squirt gun.
Squirt gun. Roy's asking, is jump rope really a toy? I say yes, it is.
It's like a torture device. See how high tech this thing is? It has like ball bearings, and there's like a universal joint and shit.
Here, hang on, let me bring it up.
I just happen to have it right here. But it's like a cable wrapped in plastic, and then it's got this like adjustable deal. And then
that looks like a speed rope.
It says Woo Nation. But yeah, right? Like this thing looks like some kind of like super fancy one, right? I mean, it's not super expensive, but anyway, maybe I'll actually jump rope.
You could off somebody with that thing, man.
Yeah, kind of looks like a weapon.
Mr. Bob said the girls jumped rope while boys played foursquare and tetherball. I am not that old. I'll be 66 in June. Fuck, I'm old.
Ha, he's older than me.
Roy said it looks like a garrote. Your jump rope.
For a dragon. King Kong.
I'm going to go squirt gun.
Gun against gun.
I did, jump roping. It was it was kind of a skill thing. And you could do kind of the trickier stuff, and I enjoyed the athletic part of it.
Oh, you know what? Maybe after Rocky, it became a thing because Rocky jump roped all the time, right?
But squirt gun, I had, can't remember if it was high school or junior high. I had a little shotgun. It was kind of like the tube ones where you suck up the water, but it looked like kind of like the, God, now I forget the name of the pistol grip shotgun without the stock.
Shockwave?
Kind of looked like a pistol grip Shockwave. And I had my mom sew a pocket on the inside of my jacket, and it would fit in there.
Nice.
So, Now we've got Yo-Yo versus Nerf football. G-Webs.
Yo-Yo.
Yo-Yo.
Sports can suck it.
Barbecue.
Football, because I don't see the dudes at yo-yo competitions getting laid.
I'm sure there's Yo-Yo groupies.
Yo-Yo Ma.
Gizzard.
Gotta go with the Nerf football.
Nerf football. X Adam wants a squirt gun because you could put all sorts of things in it. Also sneak around and wet someone, hide, watch them trying to figure out what just happened. I always just seem to wet myself. I did like yo-yos, but again, I'm going to have to go with the Nerf. Roy said, I don't see professional Nerf football players getting laid either. Now we've got the red rubber ball versus Hot Wheels. G-Webs.
Matchbox cars.
Barbecue.
I seen a thing about the difference. I forget what the difference. Well, the one was they were trying to make them more detailed, and the other one was trying to make them, like, with the wheels that worked better.
Red Rubber Ball versus Hot Wheels.
Yep.
But we said this could count for like any tiny car like that, right?
Yeah.
Was it count for any shit?
Johnny Lightnings were friggin' amazing. I'm gonna have to go with Hot Wheels.
What's a Johnny Lightning?
It's like Hot Wheel.
Yeah, except like the hood opened and had rubber wheels on it. Better car selection that weren't all like childish. Like it was more of a classic car look and things like that.
I think they're 90s. They kind of came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
Cool.
Roy said Johnny Lightning is the rich kid Hot Wheels.
Yeah, without doubt, they're like $5 a piece. That was back in the day. I think they're $6 or $7 now. It's ridiculous.
When Hot Wheels were like 60 cents or something.
Yeah.
Gary?
Hot Wheels.
Okay, that's good because I accidentally put 3 in there. I don't have to change it. I'm going to go Hot Wheels. I did enjoy the red rubber ball, but one of my favorite toys I've ever owned was Hot Wheel. It was a funny car, and it was a metal flake ruby red. Loved that color.
Dude, one of my favorite Hot Wheels or whatever Matchbox cars was the Mach 5. I got a Mach 5. I traded for it when I was a little kid. I think I remember seeing the cartoon. Then I got the Hot Wheel or whatever, and then I remember seeing the cartoon like started showing up, and I was like, "Holy shit!" It's like perfect timing.
I've got one of the larger die cast. It's got the saws that pop out and the little bird thing.
The drone.
Yeah, I bought it used. It came with Chim Chim, but it didn't have it. I mean, the toy originally came with the Chim Chim in the trunk, but the one I bought was missing that.
Chim Chim is the original trunk monkey.
Yep. So Hot Wheels is moving on. So now we've got the action figures versus Legos.
Wow,
G-Webs.
that's a one. That's a tough one. Really, really tough for my generation, at least. I'm gonna go with Lego, I guess, because of timelessness and whatever, and universality. Not probably only boys like Star Wars figures, I guess.
Barbecue.
Action figures or Legos?
Yep.
Action figures.
Action figure. Gary.
Legos.
Legos. I'm going to go action figures, so we need the chat to vote on this one.
I just bought a set of Legos that's like a flower. Like they make a whole series of them that are just decorative flowers, basically.
I had my first G.I. Joe that I bought was the laser rifle soldier. His rifle had a line attached to a backpack. That was, I think, one of the first of that generation G.I. Joes. And then I think the second one I bought was the Ranger. And
I remember buying the motorcycle guy. One of my first G.I. Joes was the motorcycle guy, and I thought that was amazing because I think they had different legs than Star Wars figures, so they could sit on a motorcycle or something.
Had Storm Shadow.
The Ninja?
Yep.
Of course. Have to get that one.
I like the one in white better than Snake Eyes. It was in all black.
Well, that's wrong, but you're allowed to be wrong. It's your show.
I know I had more. Oh, I had the Baroness because she had boobs. I probably had one or two more, but that was about it, I think. Roy said Legos.
One vote's going to take it. There's only one vote.
So we'll give it a minute here.
I could hear this dog in there, like making ruckus and barking at Mello or whatever. She's trying to sleep, and then he comes running in here, comes running over here, and he's already asleep. It took him like 4 seconds to jump up here and fall asleep. So I think he was sleep bothering her, like he was sleepwalking, except bothering her in his sleep.
Oh, so what? Legos is going to take it
with one vote.
Every vote counts. So now we've got the cap gun versus squirt gun. G-Webs.
Squirt gun. You can literally disable a cap gun with a squirt
gun. X Adam wants an action figure, but he came in too late. Barbecue.
Squirt gun.
Squirt gun. Gary.
He left.
Oh, I was muted. Squirt gun.
Squirt gun. I'm gonna go squirt gun. Cap guns were cool, but kind of you hit the 80s and you get super soakers and the battery powered squirt guns, and they supplanted the cap gun for me.
Super soakers, you could shove them into a thing of water and suck, right? And it would fill just as fast as you could squirt it. Yeah, like that.
And you had the big thing was you had the air reservoir that pushed that water.
I never owned one, but I remember them being a game changer. Like maybe I would think it was probably like 3 years too early for them or whatever. Like they hit the scene when I was already done being a kid. But yeah, you could tell those things are a game changer for playing in the backyard type of shit. You know, that guy was literally a rocket scientist. He was sitting there playing around with rocket parts, invented it.
Yeah, you did a chat on it, or at least talked a lot about it on a chat long time ago now.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. Of course, it changed the game, right? Like you don't see that too often where somebody just comes in and says like, "Hey, let's completely redesign the squirt gun in a just a whole better way."
And they were really cool, and then people started getting shot in the inner cities over that that was the end of the Super Soaker. So now we've got Nerf football versus Hot Wheels. G-Webs.
Sports suck, so Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels. Barbecue.
When you don't have anybody to throw a football to, you could always play with Hot Wheels still. Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels. Gary.
Football, just because.
Football, just because. I'm going to probably have to go Hot Wheels. Yeah, whoops. Not 23. There weren't 23. There we go. So now we've got Lego versus Squirt Gun. G-Webs.
Oh man, I don't know what the criterias are. It's just what we like better, I guess.
Yeah.
This is a tough one. I don't even know. It's a tough one. What's it going to have to go up against? Hot Wheels? That doesn't help either. So, dang. Legos are good, but so are squirt guns. So I guess squirt gun, because I don't even know how to compare these or how to do it. But I'm going to go with the gun because it's a gun. You can make a gun out of Legos, but a squirt gun, a lot more fun.
Barbecue.
Squirt gun.
Gary.
Squirt gun.
X-Adam. Well, Mr. Bob had said Nerf ball for the last one. X-Adam said when temperatures was over 104, you could still play Hot Wheels indoors or even under a tree in the shade.
I mean, Hot Wheels are like toy cars are fun wherever you're at, right? Like you can street race, or if you're outside and all of a sudden you're Dukes of Hazzard racing, big deal. Like
you could even play with your toy car in the car when you're
Yep.
driving somewhere.
Hold it up in the window and now you're racing. Yep.
M. Gabriel said, I still haven't recovered from the candy bar bracket.
I misunderstood. I thought we had to eat all the candy bars in the candy bar bracket, so I'm still in pretty rough shape from that.
I'm going to go squirt gun. So now we've got Hot Wheels versus a squirt gun.
Also, you ever noticed American Legos from like Denmark or some shit?
What were you saying, Barbecue?
I was going to say, you ever notice that you never see M. Gabriel and Mr. Knives in the same room at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What, do they all look the same to you?
I'm trying to picture M. Gabriel with
Ninja Turtles, yeah.
Oh, so are you going Hot Wheels or squirt gun, G-Webs?
Oh, squirt gun.
Squirt gun. Barbecue.
This one was the less difficult for me.
Gotta go Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels. Gary.
Gotta go squirt gun.
Oh, snap.
Squirt gun. So we're going to need the chat to vote for the winner because I'm going Hot Wheels. So somebody vote. Your vote matters unless you're late. like X Adam 1.
He was busy
Does
with a
Now,
harpoon gun. Cut him a break.
does his late vote count as an early vote for this one?
no.
Sucker.
Some of those little toy cars, you could pull them backwards, and
Yeah.
there'd be spring tension on the rear wheels, and they'd take off like a bat out of hell. Those were cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. I guess I could have put remote control cars.
Yeah, I was gonna say, would you count, like when I was working at Microsoft, they made these cars that were not much difference in size than a Hot Wheel, but it was remote controlled, and they would run off a capacitor instead of a battery. So they ran for like 5 or 6 minutes before you had to charge them, but they were capacitors, so they charged in like a moment. Remember those?
What were the names of them things? They come in a little like a plastic bubble thing.
Yeah, but we bought them in China for like $5 a pop, and we would play with those while we were supposed to be working all the time. And those were so fun on a desk. And you could get little tanks and little construction equipment and little race cars, and they were all geared up differently. Radio Shack made a version of them where you could take them all apart and change the tires and shit and put different suspensions, maybe. So those got neat. I don't know. They were way smaller than Stompers, but I would take like a remote control Stomper also. But I don't know if you'd count all that as Hot Wheels or not. That gets skinny remote control.
I will say I miss Radio Shack. I loved Radio Shack. Kind of at the end, at least the local ones, when you go in, it was basically them doing cell phone stuff, selling plans or selling phones. And so you couldn't get any help because they're always, have to spend half an hour with somebody on their stinking cell phone. So we've got Hot Wheels. Roy said Hot Wheels. Mr. Bob said Squirt Gun. We need one more vote because that makes it a tie. So X Adam 1, vote. Vote now. Yeah, Roy said Radio Shack sucked when it became Cell Phone Shack.
Well, it went through phases for sure. Like when cordless phones first happened, like when you went from a regular phone in the house to a cordless phone, Radio Shack went into like a phase. But then they went into that like era of being the remote control headquarters for Christmas. And then they would do like radios and scanners. And did they ever try to do car stereos? But they would, they kind of focused on different stuff.
Yeah, they had car stereos.
But I don't know if they ever focused on them like for a whole Christmas. But anyway, like they definitely like championed different technology over the years, and then computers. Like when they were pushing Tandy.
When the Tandys came out, I really wanted a Tandy.
We had a Tandy. It was all right.
Well, I didn't know any better. The computers were new.
I was a little kid, so it wasn't like I had any say in it. I just knew what I was playing on. But we had a Tandy.
What's funny is you go to the Kansas History Museum up here in our capital, and right up front there's a TRS-80 display. It's like, man, I remember playing with one of those. It's in the museum now.
So X Adam 1 said Squirt Gun. Then he said, changed my mind. Oops, Hot Wheels. Because of cars with flames and other that change color with water. Yeah, Roy said he's the worst voter.
He's a flip-flopper.
That's going to go to Hot Wheels.
We got flip-flopped.
Yep.
Hot Wheels have been voted the best kids' toy.
But they're also, they've got the issue or the, whatever you call like the factor of adults buy them and then just staple them to the wall or whatever they do. But like I've seen so many people with like a wall of Hot Wheels. So
I never understood that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like I don't get it, but I mean I kind of get it because they cost $1, and I do have some vans and stuff, but just because they cost $1, and I'm like, oh look, there's a van, but I don't put them on the wall.
Well, the thing is, years later, some of these become like ridiculously collectible. Because they'll make different color variations, things like that. And next thing you know, you got a car that's worth $10,000. You're like, oh, good thing I didn't open that. Like,
yeah, I guess I could see that element.
When I worked at Walgreens, we had a couple guys that would just wait to see when our next truck was coming. And then it's a drugstore. It's not like we're getting a shit ton of Hot Wheels or anything. But they would come in with their kid and parse through all the Hot Wheels that we got to see if we got anything new that, they could add to the collection.
Well, do you know how it works? I watched a couple of videos on the Instagram, so I know that much of it. But like if there's a box of 36 or 48 or however many in a box, like 2 of them will be rares, and then the rest of them will be mixed up commons. So yeah, there's an advantage to go into like any store and opening up the box, shifting through it, because even if it's not the rare you're interested in, like you can trade it with somebody who finds the rare that you really want or whatever. So
Yeah.
that's how they distribute them, I guess. Like that's how Hot Wheels distributes them out to the world. Is they'll put like the gold ticket, in kind of just like a Walgreens will get it type of shit, or a toy store or whoever.
I
But I
have one Hot
see
Wheel.
people
It's
that do
a
that.
69 Dodge Dart because I used to own a 69 Dodge Dart.
But what I don't like
Nice.
is you can't just get every vehicle. Like they do cool vehicles and like concept shit, but you can't just get like, I want a Mazda, whatever, like, or I want a Nissan something. Like, I think it'd be a little cooler if they made like every vehicle. But it'd probably be expensive to do that. Well, with 3D printers, I guess now they can just technically do it that way.
I would love if they made a baby blue 71 Ford Maverick because that was my first car.
I feel like in 2025 that should be a thing. Like you should be able to just like
Print
if
on
you play
demand.
Funko Pop, yeah, or make it metal. I mean, though, if they print it, fine, I don't care. But you should be able to get like a metal one painted up how you want. Like here's some pictures of my dad's car, my grandpa's car, and then here you go. I mean, we're probably saying this. I'm sure that exists. We just don't know about it.
Oh, so G-Webs.
There's probably people that will make a custom Hot Wheel for you. I'll bet you, just customizers, like whatever you call that.
I would think so. You can pretty much get custom anything. You can get custom bobbleheads and custom paintings.
Anyway, I want to mention, if we're wrapping it up, I want to mention Sharon's Give Send Go, where she's not even quite halfway to it, and there's value to helping a friend. Plus, it's good exercise to share projects that are of value every once in a while, and helping her out with her cancer is of value.
There is a link in the description for her Give Send Go.
Oh, okay, thanks.
I was just looking at see if there's custom Hot Wheels.
Yeah, I was looking too. There's like an Etsy and stuff, but I'm thinking like somebody with a paintbrush and like skills could probably make one up for somebody who wants a one.
There's people who do that, who will remove the paint and repaint Hot Wheels, or actually change them a little bit, make them custom, and all that. Oh,
I'll also add a public service announcement to grab whatever little critter you got laying around and grab them and hug them and give them a kiss.
Well, there's a daddy long legs, and I'm not going to grab him and hug him.
Well, to within reason.
Burn the house down.
What the daddy long legs? I'm not too concerned about. The reason they have the long legs is because they eat other spiders.
Yes, I was actually going to say dead of the long legs don't bother me. Actually, most spiders don't bother me anymore. Since the vision loss and everything, it just doesn't affect me. Like even knowing that it's there, no big deal. Snakes, on the other hand, like no.
What about if you're sleeping and a spider decides to like crawl into your hair or into your ear or some shit and make like a nest, and then you wake up and there's little baby spiders like
No problem.
off you?
Like every once in a while, like I don't know. It was probably a month ago. I was sitting at my computer and I felt something drop on me. I was like, "What the crap was that?" I don't know if it was a spider or not, but that's the only thing I could think of it being. And like I quickly swat and killed whatever it was, but still.
Moths will hang out above you, they'll fly above you and then poop on you, and then you feel like it's just a spider, but it's really a moth pooping on you.
Roy
Bird
said
shit on me a lot.
he has hair. Barbecue used to have hair.
I used to.
Well,
Talking
X
about
Adam 1, he had to have a moth pulled out of his ear just a few days ago.
Oh, no wonder you got the harpoon.
Just looking through my YouTube subscription because there's somebody that did that. He would do videos of him customizing his Hot Wheels. I'm not thinking who it was, and I'm Super Bad Videos. He's done a lot of those custom Hot Wheels and stuff. He'll strip the paint and then sometimes even change, not just do different colors, but the like add stuff to the car,
like a hood or a scoop or
yeah,
or something. Yeah.
But barbecue.
Hey.
Anything you got coming up you want to let everybody know about?
I do have that new channel that I plan on putting some more content out on. Luckily, the photography stuff has been pretty busy recently, so that's nice. But that also keeps me from creating content because I'm spending a shit ton of time editing. So if nothing else, I'm going to try and make a bunch of shorts here soon and put those out on there because I have an idea for shorts for that. So other than that, no, I got nothing. Thanks for the invite. I would like, before I go, I'd like to second what G-Web said with the Sharon Hinchcliffe go or Gibson go, whatever the heck that site is. So do that.
And I put a link for 2A is Blind in the chat. So
You're a swell
everybody
guy.
can go over there, check it out, subscribe, show them some love. Gary, what you got coming up?
Oh, I got a Nightcore flashlight in the mail today, plus a pocket knife to review this next week. And let's see, my live stream every Monday night, 9 o'clock p.m. Out Territory. Of course, my members chat on Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Central. And doing a few fun things over on the Boomer Listens channel. So if you care to watch an old man try to interpret current music, it's maybe hilarious or boring, one or the other. So anyway, thanks for having me.
Well, I do appreciate you being here. And here's a link for Boomer Listens. So you can listen to the Boomer listening.
Yeah, listen to a guy listening to music and totally misinterpreting the lyrics. Yeah.
So I guess I don't know. Sometime this month we'll have to do a giveaway. I'll give away a flashlight, pen light, a really cool pen light that takes the super cool quadruple A batteries. Not everybody has quadruple A battery flashlight.
I was days old when I found out there was such a thing as a quadruple A battery.
Moi aussi, mon frère. And then we'll give away some other stuff. Maybe I'll give. I still have some of those banger bottles laying around here. We'll give one of those away too. Sometime this month, whenever I remember to do a giveaway. So next chat is next Saturday. I think that's everything. But other than that, hey, leave a comment if you watch this in replay. If you're still watching up to now, anything we talked about, agree with, disagree with. What's your favorite toy as a kid? And on that note, I hope everybody has a good rest of the night and go do something good.